Hi, I'm Tim. Join me in this video as we go over the design and construction of the Lite Ranger 2 foam board RC model airplane. Let's get to it.
Perfect.
These plans can be downloaded in the description. So for the Lite Flyer 2, the plans from QCAD are available for download on the description. What I've done is I've put in the just the size of the fuselage of the foam board. We'll be making it from the 3/16" thick foam board. Again, it's 30 inches wide. That will be the wingspan of the Lite Flyer. And what I've done is, this is a full-size printout on the computer, very easy to do from the fuselage. The fin is a 3-channel model with the elevator, throttle, and ailerons. And also this is the wing right here. This is a half wing with the cutouts to make it lightweight with a servo here. Notice the ailerons are pretty big. They're 2-inch ailerons. I am still experimenting with flaperons in this airplane. There's absolutely no requirement to have flaperons if you build it. If you go with ailerons only, I think you can make the ailerons just 1 inch wide. That'll be fine for a model like this. And also the very simple fuselage, all out of foam board, were made from the QCAD, and we'll proceed to cut out the parts and use hot glue to start putting the airplane together. I've completed cutting out all the foam parts for my Lite Ranger 2. There's really not much to the model, but this is all here. I'm experimenting with the lightning holes in the ailerons and the wings. We'll see how that works. And the other thing I did was I took off all the paper that's on the outside of the 3/16" foam board. Different brands of foam board, sometimes the paper comes off very easily. Other ones it's glued on such you just can't take it off. The paper adds a fair amount of weight. I'm trying to make this as lightweight as possible. It adds some ruggedness to the outside, but I'm going to go with this version, taking off the paper just to go as light as possible. So next step will be assembling everything with a hot glue gun, and we'll update the video at that time. I always like to hitch up the components, the motors, the controls, the battery before putting them into the airplane, just to make sure everything works okay. Especially important in this case because I'm using flaperons. You need a 6-channel receiver for the flaperons. There's the elevator servo, and on bottom of the ailerons and flaps, you can see the ailerons work fine. And then with the switch, the flaps go down and the differential. It's good to just understand how they work and draw a little diagram of what they're going to look like so you can avoid putting in the servos incorrectly. I listed colors of the motors on for the plug-in to the electronic speed control, and everything's all set for installation into the airplane. These are the CAD plans. There's a PDF download as well as the DXF files. I printed out the full-size parts from QCAD. It's really very easy to do. I'm liking QCAD more and more as I use the program. Plenty of instruction videos on the channel how to use QCAD. Just a rough placement of the servo on the wings. This is the full size of the fuselage using the tile printout method. I've cut out the fuselage side and the wings, just to practice with QCAD more than anything else. And then I can put these on the foam board to trace out the shape of the wing and the formers. Here is the wing itself with the ailerons. Note a little bit bigger ailerons, experimenting with the flaperons. Use clear tape hinges. These are the carbon fiber rods purchased at Amazon that I hot glued to the bottom, and the servos in place for the little trays. The carbon fiber tubes are absolutely essential. I use cling wrap, Glad cling wrap, saran, whatever you want to use onto the wing. It works fine, believe it or not. This is the foam board. My lovely wife is trimming out the covering about the size of the wing, and then we just use a glue stick to hold the covering in place on the foam. It works fine, and it holds out fine for the flaps. And if anything is damaged, obviously it's going to be very easy to fix or repair. Once the glue stick is in place, just carefully put the cling wrap over that section of the wing, making sure you separate it from the ailerons so the ailerons can't move or any control surface. Just kind of press it down towards the end and then trim as necessary when it's all done, and you will have a finished covered wing for your Lite Ranger 2. This is a view of the fuselage construction. The plywood, 1/16 inch plywood firewall is in place with a little hole to clear the rear shaft of the engine. I did switch out to the bigger Part BL370, sometimes a Part 250 through the video. This smaller one just didn't have enough power, I felt, so I didn't even bother taking it out to the field. Better to have a little bit of extra power than not enough. Another technique for control horns that I use a lot is just popsicle sticks. These are the ends of the popsicle sticks with a hole drilled in place. Very easy to glue in, and they're just a quick control horn for your models. Here are the control horns for the ailerons put in place. See the carbon rod tube stiffing it up, and over here for the elevator, there is the elevator control horn in place as well.
Making good progress on Lite Ranger 2. A little bit of a cabin design here for, I think there's going to be a follow-on biplane version. Smaller motor, and I put the receiver in the front here, and underneath for CG weight purposes the battery is located right here. The elevator servo, and then the two servos in the wing. Also 2mm carbon rod for the wing spar, and I think that'll make it a little bit lighter. The total weight with everything that I'm holding here is 4.4 ounces. The saran wrap, cling wrap covering on the top. The wing is bigger than the Lite Ranger 1, a little bit bigger ailerons. So we'll take a look at what the controls look like. So up elevator. And there's quite a bit of throw in the ailerons. I'll probably turn that down a little bit. And what I'm going to be interested in is the flaps. A little bit more flap extension and area for the flaperons. So we'll see how that works when we go to fly. And for the motor, it is a smaller motor. Details are in the description. 5x3 prop. It won't be a ton of power, but we'll see if it'll be enough to make this airplane fly, again with a flat wing. So a few finishing touches, and then we'll go ahead and head out to the field and see how it works. We're here at the RC field, a little bit windier than I might have liked it for a test flight, but I think it'll be okay. It's a pretty steady breeze. So this is the Lite Ranger 2, the cabin model, a little bit bigger wing, about an inch greater core than the Lite Ranger 1. A little bit bigger ailerons to see how that works. And with the controls, up elevator, ailerons work like that, and the flaperons are like such. So, in the motor, plenty of power with the Part 250 motor. So we'll go ahead and give it a test flight to see how it works.
I gotta say the Lite Ranger 2 flew great on its first flight. Just flew out of my hand, bounced around a little bit. There's a fair amount of wind out there for a smaller model like this. Didn't see a whole lot of effect of the flaperons. I think it was just due to the first flight jitters and the wind, but it's a very pleasant model to fly. Literally no trim. What you're seeing is how we flew it. Just a fun little project to build and fly.
Perfect.
This is back for the test flight. I'm happy with the way it flew. It was bouncing around a little bit. There's enough wind on the surface here, and I know from experience flying at this club with the hills, it gets pretty turbulent up there, especially for a smaller model like this. But the takeaways are the Part 250 motor is plenty of thrust, information and description how to get that from Stevens Aero. I do think the increased wing area helped. The increased ailerons helped. I didn't see that much difference when I lowered the flaps for the flaperons, but that was just part of the experiment to see how that works. I do like the cabin setup for the model. I think that makes it look a little bit better. One thing that I will change, the width of the fuselage. I tried to make it thinner at 1.5 inches. That's just awful tight for all the equipment that has to go in there, so we can fit that. And I still had to add a little bit of tail weight to balance it out, so just for any future versions. But I think this design concept for the Lite Ranger 2 is good. The saran wrap works fine for the wings, and we'll go ahead and see what happens on the third one of the Lite Ranger series, which I'm planning to be a stagger wing biplane. So more to follow. Thank you for viewing this video.